All right, so Otakufest 2021, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about it. All right, so jumping into this, the good, the bad, the ugly of Otakufest 2021. Otakufest is a anime eccentric convention where people who are fanatics of anime, like yours truly here, go to a con to meet vendors who are selling merchandise, different things of, anime centric stuff, games, you name it. So it's a great place for people to, to come together, the community, have fun, make friends, create moments, cosplay competitions, funny moments, meeting with people, talking about different various anime and whatnot, the cosplayers. I always have fun at this convention, and the first time I went was back in 2019 during the whole Hurricane Dorian situation. That was fun. I had a good time. But now 2021, because 2020 they didn't have one due to a pandemic, and now in 2021 we're still under one, but things are beginning to open up, and Otakufest was the first con here in South Florida to actually have a convention. Even though last year we had UltraCon, but we're not going to talk about UltraCon right now. It's all about Otakufest in this video. So, good, bad, ugly. Here's the good. I enjoyed it. Went there in support of the convention. Went there in support of Flint Arcade, and of course, my podcast, and of course, meeting the people. That was it. I had my 4 intentions on why I wanted to go to Otakufest. I knew well and through about the risk. Yes, I'm going to a con in a pandemic. I know. I went in negative and I came out negative. Yeah. I don't have COVID. I'm good. So, that's that. So, I knew my risk. I knew what I needed to do to make sure I'm okay, because I can't control what everybody else does. This is something people need to keep in mind, that you can only be accountable for yourself and your own actions. Can't say the same about everybody else, and yeah, it is what it is. But we'll talk about more stuff later or whatnot, but just want to get through the good. Had fun meeting a lot of people there, had a great time, and I wish I could do it again. I wish I could, because I had a really good time. The atmosphere was more of just everybody just missing each other and catching up with each other. And for those that haven't, they followed new people, but you've never met them before, then this was their only opportunity to meet them face-to-face, one-on-one. And that happened with me. So I was happy about that. Had the podcast there. It was a great turnout. Very, very surprised about that, even though I was very nervous. But overall, it was good. I enjoyed it, and I would do it all over again. Yes, even if it's under a pandemic, I would still do it all over again. I would reset the clock back, especially with everything that I know now, and do it all over again. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the bad. All right, the bad. The bad. It's only 2 bads. One being security. I would have been more appreciative if there were some law enforcement presence. It never hurts, because in this day and age, you never know. And me, in my background, since I've done armed security before, you never know. That's just the thing that just sits in the back of my mind, because you just never know. But I'm usually alert, and I'm paranoid about stuff like that. And of course, bag check. I would at least appreciate if we had bag checks coming into the convention, so that way at least we're safe and secure. So that's just my one thing, because every con that I go to, I'm always judging, I'm always critiquing how their level of security, because it's just one of those things where I'd rather be safe than sorry. So that's just one thing. The second bad thing would be the cosplay competition that happened on Saturday, and it was an hour wait. I was like, I want to get this over with. I'm excited. All right, they're, lining everybody up, keeping, people distance, making sure you know your number, whatnot. I was number 32. I remember correctly. I was number 32. And an hour later, I'm like, finally, we're getting to move. Yeah. Yeah, I would cut that at least down to 30 minutes and be like, okay, get all the cosplayers, let them know that, hey, cosplay competition is going to happen at, I would say at least remind the people 30 minutes prior. And then make sure you have everybody there 30 minutes. For, at least when you get the people, you have them there for about 30 minutes of waiting. And then go on the stage, do your thing. And, you conclude the competition. So the hour wait sucked. I did not like that. I wanted to get it over with. That was the second bad thing, and of course the first one was security. So can they be improved? Yes. There's always room for improvement when something goes wrong. So that's that. Better security and a shorter wait time for the cosplay competition. So now let's get into the ugly. All right, the ugly. Well, if you don't follow me on Instagram, and if you have not followed me during the time after Otakufest, like the day of Otakufest and now that Monday after Otakufest, it was pretty interesting for those first couple of days because, oh man, that Monday, you had a rumor going around saying that 2 artists could be COVID positive, and man, that went like wildfire. And here's what I'm gonna say about this, and I'm not gonna draw out so much about it. One, always check your sources. Anonymous sources should not count as the truth. Like, especially if it's dealing with COVID, there should not be no anonymous sources. Like, you need to be 100% honest. If not, then that just discredits you completely. So, that's one. The second one was people being harassed online for going to the convention. I was one of them. And as much as I want to handle it differently, I had to pull myself back and be like, you know what? Let me not. I'm not going to stoop down to their level because there's a way to handle stuff like this. And for me, at least, I want to at least show people that there's a way you can handle people like this, especially if they're going to be harassing you on the internet. Like, ask them nicely, look, hey, I don't appreciate your negative comments here. Please delete them. And if they don't, and they continue to persist, because this one chick wished COVID on people and whatnot, and I'm like, yo, to me, that's not cool. Because you're literally wishing death on somebody, and you're thinking it's cool because they went to a convention in the pandemic that you don't approve of. I'm pretty sure the people that went knew the risk. They went in negative, and I am hoping they came out negative as well. Because I went in negative, I came out negative, I'm good. And the people that I would normally associate myself with, I haven't heard any bad things from them. I haven't heard that they came up positive. So I'm just hoping that everyone's good, everyone's negative, and we can move forward from this. But the backlash was just, my God, it was surreal. I even had to make more of a rant video on Instagram, which is exclusively on Instagram about it. Just saying, enough is enough. Like, this needs to stop now because you people are taking it too far just because you don't approve of the person's reasoning for going to a con. Like, it has to stop. Like, it's not cool. It's not cool to wish COVID on people, and it's not cool to harass them to the point of doxing them, trying to find out where they live and what do they do and whatnot. Like, that's not cool. Like, and I was like, yo, this needs to stop because you people are going too far. And then, of course, you also had people, I know I'm going a little bit longer on this, but you also had people who went to the con, had a good time. They went for both days. And when the backlash started to happen, they ended up starting to turning on the convention themselves. And I was like, if it was that bad, then why did you go for 2 days? Like, if it was bad for the first day, I would not come back a second day and spend 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at the con. I'd have just went that Saturday and be like, yep, I'm out. I'm good. Some people came for 2 days, and then after that, when the backlash started to come, they turned on the con. And I know why they did it, because they don't want the backlash themselves, because they cannot handle it. I mean, to me, I call them cowards or whatnot, and it's like, yo, you have no integrity. But that's another topic for another day. But I see those people. I see y'all. So yeah. And of course, people cherry picking photos because they saw people taking photos without their mask on, without any context. You know, context is important, people. Like, were they walking around the convention without the mask on? Because I'm pretty sure, at least for me, when I was going through the convention, everybody had their face mask on. Like, I did not even see a face mask like down here. The only time I saw people, you know, off, or at least down here, is if they're eating something, they're drinking something, they're changing their face mask, or they're trying to rearrange it. Those were the only times that I saw someone with you know, with their face mask down. Other than that, yeah. Now, were there times where there were places where it get crowded? Yes. Yeah. There were times where, okay, this is getting a little bit crowded, I'm going the other way. You know? Like, I'll go this way. Last thing you want to do is just, you know, go shoulder to shoulder with people. You're like, oh, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon. Nah. I'm just like, nah, let me take a long route. I'm avoiding that. Nope. But yeah, that was the ugly. The backlash was completely and then of course just people just not learning how to talk to people. Like, if you're gonna be frustrated and angry at the people that are running the event, there's a better way to have your voice heard rather than to scream, yell, and shout, because that becomes very tone deaf, and most likely they will not listen to you. You have to be calm, be reasonable, be rational, and more than likely they will hear your position. That's the way to do it. But I tried telling that to these young kids, and when I mean young kids, I'm talking about the ones that are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, going around harassing people. And here's the kicker. None of them live in the state of Florida. Imagine that. It's funny. But overall, there's a way to talk to people, and people need to learn that, especially when it comes to dealing with people that are running the event and making sure that everything is safe, everything is okay. Like, even if there are going to be problems, there are going to be issues, address it right away. Let somebody know so that way it gets handled immediately. Because I've heard people make excuses saying that, well, I don't see the staff doing this or doing that or whatnot. But did you report it? I apologize for that. But did you report it? Is what I'm going to ask. Do they know about this? Because if not, then that's on you for not reporting it. Like, if we're going to take this seriously, if we're going to take COVID seriously, then we need to make sure that we're accountable at all times. Not just the staff, but ourselves as well. Like, if you see something wrong, don't just bear it in silence. Speak up, say something, let somebody know. So that way the appropriate actions can be handled. So, with that said, in conclusion, was the con perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. Can it improve? Absolutely. There is room for improvement for a lot of things, and this could serve as a great learning lesson for every one of us, especially for those that do want to attend for next year. Maybe we can ask, when they're in the planning phase, when the staff of Otakufest are in the planning phase to have another one again in 2022, let's bring up some suggestions. How about maybe a more smaller limited audience? If the maximum limit was 2,500, then maybe 1,500. Who knows? Or for panels, for example, instead of packing the room, how about we just be limited? Like, okay, we're only gonna have like 20 people in this room, and that's it. First 20 in, and that's it. If you didn't make it in, I apologize, but we want to, keep the numbers down. You want to keep it limited, so that way people have more space to just, completely separate themselves, roam around, things like that. Because you also had people upstairs as well, just, relaxing, hanging around, and just, keeping their distance amongst everybody else, since most of us were like tired of walking around, posing and whatnot. A lot of people would go upstairs just to relax and whatnot, or some people would go outside in the parking lot and just hang out and just, do whatever. And another thing is, with the whole taking a photo with your face mask off, I would like to pose this suggestion of maybe having a photo section maybe inside the convention, where you can, if you don't want to take photos. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm just like thinking and saying shit. A designated photo taking area where you can take it off, and that's the only place you can take it off. Or do it outside, either outside or in the photo designated area where you can have it off, and it's completely like spaced out from all the other photo designated areas. But if you're not in these areas, it needs to be on at all times, wherever you go. Now, if you're outside and you're completely separated from everyone, hey, do your thing. But if you're inside, at least respect the rules, respect the guidelines, keep your distance, keep your face mask on, and overall, and of course, sanitize your hands, make sure you're always clean at all times. And, overall have a positive attitude and help encourage others to do the same. Like, if you see someone, walking around and they're having like their face mask down here or even completely off, don't be a dick and tell them, hey, you put your face mask on. Like, don't be a dick. There's a way to talk to people. Just, kindly ask them, hey, could you please, put your face mask on, so that way there won't be any problems or issues. I don't want no problems or issues to come to you or whatnot. Like, encourage the people to, keep it on and whatnot, so that way they'll be like, all right, yeah, I'll keep it on. Like, take that approach. It never hurts. But I rambled on long enough. I'm going on almost 18 minutes. I tried to make this as short as possible, but that was a lot for me I wanted to say about Otakufest. And as I said before, it wasn't perfect. There's room to improve. And last but not least, like, there's a way to talk to people, especially in a very professional manner. And I hope to see people take that route. Like, talk calmly, talk rationally, have your ideas, present it to them, and see what happens. See what happens. You never know. So, anyway, guys, I rambled on long enough. Until next time, and as always, y'all be safe and stay classy.